Go.
Welcome, everybody, to another World of Chaos episode. Hopefully, you guys are having a happy new year. I'm joined by a guest today to go over a blockbuster trade. It happened today, only a few hours ago, in the world of the NBA. With me is Jay Tezla. Jay Tezla, how are you?
I'm good. It's kind of funny that I'm wearing red right now, and one of the teams that traded is seeing red. Actually,
Yeah,
no. Two of the teams wear red in their color block. But
this is gonna be this is an interesting trade. So if you're just joining us today, thank you. I am Chaos, your host. Welcome to the channel. Make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe button, and make sure you leave a comment in there. Let me know what you think about this trade, and do you think this is actually going to work with all three of these megastars coexisting on the same team? With no further ado, James Harden, the perennial All Star, perennial MVP candidate, the best scorer in basketball, arguably, has been traded today from the Houston Rockets to the Brooklyn Nets, reuniting him with his OKC partner, Kevin Durant, and with Kyrie Irving, if we're able to find Kyrie Irving.
no, you can
That is
find them
going to
in
be
Zoom
something.
calls.
Yeah, so to catch you up to speed, like we said today, James Harden was traded from Houston to Brooklyn. One of the things that happened today, even before this trade went through, last night the Rockets faced the Los Angeles Lakers and got completely smacked. LeBron James was hitting pump fake, no look 3 pointers and talking to the bench before the shots would land.
The
That's
sad
how
part about
bad.
that was the shot wasn't the most embarrassing part. The embarrassing part was at the fact that he drove the ball down the lane. He had enough time to literally spin 360 in the air, pass it to the other side of the court, get around the defender near the basket, and go to the 3 point line in the corner. And they were able to move the ball around to get back to him for him to hit a shot and then look a dude straight in the face. The Rockets have been god awful this year, and honestly, John Wall is not the problem. It's James Harden.
Yeah, yeah. It's gotten to the point where it does kind of look like guys are getting a lot of money for a lot of less effort than what they used to. I know one of my all time favorite players, Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace. This guy never took a game off. This man tore his Achilles, then out of the timeout, walked to the foul line, hit both his foul shots, and then walked off without help. That man earned his money.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson bruised his tailbone, broke ribs, dislocated his shoulders, and still played. James Harden is getting paid $39.4 million, if I'm correct, this season. Came in grossly overweight and has shown no effort at all on defense, as to be expected, or offense. This is actually the first time I looked this up. This is the first time in his Houston career he's had 4 consecutive games of 20 points or less. The last time he did that, he was on the bench for OKC.
So I watched part of that Houston Lakers game, and I kind of figured that was Harden's last game because I can't remember the guy's full name, but THT, who has been balling out of his mind for the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers. He's a second year player, played in the G League. He's like 20 years old, and he's been balling. I think one of the games he actually locked up Kawhi. He's a big dude, so
He's
like the Lakers have a
it's
squad. Like,
surprised that they got it's surprised that they have all the talent they have and they still got guys like that are coming up
well,
and
it's not
showing
just
everything.
it's not so much the talent, it's the coaching. People forget that Vogel is a damn good coach, but I thought going into after that game that Houston was going to trade James Harden, especially after it came out that Kyrie was in a Zoom call and Stephen A. posted on his Twitter saying, I'll address this tomorrow. And everyone was like, okay, what's Stephen A. going to say? And then he said that Kyrie should retire as he should. when the news came down that yeah, when the news came down that Houston traded Harden to the Nets, I honestly thought, oh, it's a player for a player. It's Harden for Kyrie, and then Kyrie can do whatever he wants and go wherever. And there are rumors about how Kyrie feels about Steve Nash, that he didn't get a chance to really choose the coach he wanted. There's a rift between KD and Kyrie, which
what a shock.
I told everyone.
My shock spaces.
If at a certain point, if everyone has an issue with you, it ain't them. It's you. This is your third team now, and you have never really been the guy on your team ever.
And when you were, what happened? Well, the time I'll say this: you have a BL and a BL and a PL for Kyrie's career. You have before LeBron and post LeBron. Before LeBron, you were the guy, and you never won more than 31 games in a season. He came, made you an instant contender, got Kevin Love there. You guys went to multiple finals, won. And I'm like I said before, I'm not the hugest LeBron James fan, but the championship of the 4 championships he has that I've seen, the one that impresses me the most is the one with Cleveland. For one, you did bring a championship to Cleveland. That block was a great block. Kyrie's shot over Steph Curry was an amazing shot. But after that, you have a championship caliber team. You mess that up. You actually luck up and go to a young, talented Boston team that just needs somebody to be the guy while all the other young guys are learning their way, and you mess that up. Then you actually luck up again and go to Brooklyn and get, honestly, if you want to say arguably the second best player in the league, I would say first, in Kevin Durant coming back, and you still are messing that up now by going AWOL. You have one of the greatest point guards of all time as your coach, and you're messing that up. It is just a complete lack of respect for the league, for fans. And to me, I'm fine not seeing Kyrie Irving in any jersey again. If he retires today, I'll be fine with that.
We're gonna talk about that list of who's the top 5 currently, because I think Kawhi got pushed up by somebody that I can't even. I'm trying to find a way to validate him. But anyway,
this year alone, just for what we've seen, we're 13 games and almost 13 games into
about 20, about 20 games, about 20, 15, 20 games, yeah.
So I would say from what I've seen, even though they do have a okay record, I'm not putting Kawhi Leonard in my top 5 players.
No, right I think
it's in a reduced season. You're still doing load management this early into the season, in a reduced season, in a season you started late. You are getting paid $40 million a year. Suck it up, go out there and run. Shut up and drink.
Wow. My top 5 has to be LeBron, KD, Jamal Murray, Lillard, and then Steph. I think until and I know people are about to say, well, what about Giannis? Until Giannis can prove to me he can get past the second round of the playoffs, I don't want to hear any top 5 talk with him. I don't get that.
The guy, he's a 2-time MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year. I've seen him still playing that same effort. I say my top 5 as of right now, and this is the 13th of January. I'm going to say, and this is not specifically in order, Kevin Durant, Giannis, LeBron, Steph. Yeah, I'd have to say Jamal Murray. I'd have to give him the edge over Dame,
over Dame and Luka, because Jamal is, when Jamal turns it on, he's damn near unstoppable. He proved it last year.
The thing I've always loved about his game and the progression of his game that we've seen already, he's controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Like, that team does not run off of him, but it runs well because of him.
I feel more conflicted.
Dame has been cold sometimes.
Yeah.
And then that's when CJ has to pick it up.
And CJ and Nurkic will come in there and pick it up. Yeah.
You're gonna lose.
But yeah, that was last year's Western Conference Finals was the one time I felt conflicted about a conference finals because if the Nuggets win, I would have been happy because Jamal Murray deserves to be celebrated more. Like, again, no one gave them a shot against the Clippers. Everyone thought, oh, it's gonna be Clippers and Lakers in the finals. And I told everyone, something about the Clippers just smells wrong to me. And it smelled funny during the Dallas series where Luka pretty much took everybody's cookies. And then Jamal was like, oh, you're gonna let this boy come in here and take everybody's cookies, huh? Well, I'm gonna take the whole damn kitchen, and my homeboy gonna take your whole backyard while he at it too. But to get back to the trade, it was a 4-team trade between Houston, Brooklyn, Cleveland, and Indiana. Looking at the trade, Houston made off like fucking thieves.
I said this earlier, and I said this to a buddy of mine that I texted about this. This trade to me reminds me of the 2011 Carmelo Anthony trade.
And I think it's worse. I think this is as bad as the Brooklyn trade with Boston. It's just 1,000 times worse.
Yeah. To remind everybody, Carmelo Anthony got traded from the Denver Nuggets back in 2011 to the New York Knicks. The Knicks gave up basically their entire team and a couple draft picks just for Carmelo Anthony. And I believe was JR included in that trade?
I think so.
Yeah, J.R. Smith also, who was a good, wingman, but Carmelo was the premier asset of that trade. And the Knicks weren't able to really build a future. The best draft pick they had after that, I believe, was Iman Shumpert. After that, they didn't have great draft picks. They couldn't draft well. Denver used those picks to get Joker, Nurkic, Jamal Murray, Will Barton. They used a lot of those assets to really push themselves to stay relevant in the Western Conference and to be, in my opinion, a top 2 Western Conference team.
So, looking at this trade, Houston is going to get the following. They get the 22, they get the 22, 24, and 26 pick. They get the 2021 pick. They get the 2025 pick. And the 2027 pick. Brooklyn gets 2020. Yeah,
they swapped those picks with the Nets.
Yeah, which Brooklyn gets the 2024 second round pick. They also get Houston also gets
Houston also got Dante Exum, which I think he might be the first guy that gets waived because his career has just been.
But they also get Cooper. So here's the issue I have. Everyone is liking the trade because they're saying, oh, it's going to be offense unlimited. Here's the issue I have with the trade. It kind of goes in pretty much in the NFL. It goes that way in college football, college basketball, pretty much every sport. Everybody is gearing their team to beat the champion. If you look at a perfect example, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs right now are the defending Super Bowl champions. Everyone is building their offense and defense to beat that team. That means you want to have a run pass, RPO type of style of offense, and a defense that can cover the field. Because San Fran could cover it for 3 quarters, but they couldn't cover for the end of the final quarter in the Super Bowl, and that's what lost the game. So teams are now developing their teams to do that. Brooklyn making this move does not make sense to me because you trade away pieces you shouldn't have traded away. Trading away your center, like they traded away Taurean Prince and Jared Allen. That might not seem big now, but
Jared Allen,
going through the East is gonna be one thing. If you meet the Lakers, you're going to get swept. And I'm saying that now, and I hate saying that, but this is gonna be a repeat of Oklahoma City versus the Miami Heat 2014 when it was Bosh, Wade, and LeBron versus Durant, Russ, and Harden. The only issue with this is there's no center for the Nets. So if the Nets,
DeAndre Jordan's still there.
But that's the thing. If you look at the starting fives, LeBron's gonna play LeBron. So you got LeBron. You're gonna have Schroeder. You're gonna have AD. You're gonna have Kuzma and then more likely your two guard is going to be KCP. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I'll take that back. They're gonna put in Gasol as instead of KCP. So now here's the issue with DeAndre Jordan. Who does he guard? Does he guard AD or does he guard Gasol? Because with Gasol, both those guys, they can play off the perimeter. But that's the thing. You can play him off the perimeter. So now, who's stopping AD from getting rebounds? You got rid of your two biggest guys to do that because now KD is now guarding LeBron. Sure, you can have
Steve Nash as their coach. You're probably going to get them to running a 05-06 Phoenix Suns styles offense to where KD is probably now, if depending on where DeAndre Jordan is, he's going to be somebody who's going to have to step his rebounds up because you're going to have a lot of perimeter shots now with Harden and Kyrie. All Harden is going to do is either drive. If he can't drive and isn't getting that contact, he's going to hit step back three. So KD
and that's the thing that concerns me. And that's the thing that concerns me. I don't trust either Kyrie or Harden in the postseason. Their weapon is KD. If KD is on the block trying to get rebounds and he gets fouls, so like let's say he gets 3 fouls against AD because AD's bigger than him. AD's way bigger than him body-wise. Sure, height-wise, they're pretty much the same, but physically, AD is bigger than him. When that happens and KD has to sit down, where's your offense going now? Because are you gonna so now you're running two guards out there. You can't run that because one of them has to sit down. So someone's gonna be cold in this trio. There's not enough basketballs to go around. The problem with this is, and then on defense, when they go to guard, I can guarantee you Vogel's seen it enough. Vogel's going to run the same system that Coach Spo ran against the Thunder. Put LeBron on the weak side wing, have him in the post, and have him back down KD every damn game. And we saw what happened in OKC series. He backed him. Game 1, he didn't do it. But game 2, 3, 4, and 5, it was number post LeBron, and he killed him every time. This isn't like Golden State. Golden State's biggest thing is, and because I know how much of a Steph Curry fan you are. Golden State's biggest thing was strength in numbers. They had waves of players to throw at you. The Lakers have that.
That's the thing I think that they've not copied because the entire league is parity. But I think the Golden State Warriors dynasty that they had for the time they had it, the best part of it was you had multiple guys that could step up. You had Andre Iguodala, you had Sean Livingston, you had who else? You had
Pascal, you had a Bogut, you had
David West. You
had legitimate dogs coming in every night to pretty much run to where Steph could go out for 15 minutes, heal up, and then come back in and just drop 15 in 5 minutes.
One thing I also like about this trade that I don't see a lot of people talking about too much, the Pacers got involved in it. They actually received Chris LeVert from Brooklyn, and they get Victor Oladipo.
How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet Houston ends up being a top 10, a top 18 next year or this year?
Victor Oladipo and John Wall.
That's going to be a running gun.
If they both can stay healthy, that might be the best defensive backcourt in basketball right now.
Yeah,
John said it the other day. He's the best blocking point guard possibly of all time.
Yeah.
Victor is very good on defense, and that's the thing.
Just blocking, right? Not defensively.
Yeah, just blocking. You got somebody that basically what Wade was for blocking as a shooting guard. Wade, in my opinion, is the best blocking shooting.
I can see it.
Because they may not be the best defensive guy. They're not going to get 2 steals a game. But if you need a intimidating block, Wade can do that. John can do that. Victor can do that. And the fact that Victor does not now have to be the guy again, Victor's not going to be your leading scorer. You have Tristan Wood, who was just with the Pistons, who they let go, and you have John. So if Victor actually goes into being the third option, I think that would suit him better because I don't think he is a scorer. He is not the guy that you give the ball to and say, "Hey, go get me 20 plus a night." I think that's what's been something to his detriment on the teams he's been on, because when he's been the guy or have to like when he was with Russ and OKC have to pick up his slack, I doesn't think that suits his game. I think he's a guy that can give you, 18, maybe 20, but if you need that every single night for him and he's the number one option, I don't think that's the best option. So now that John will have a lot more freedom to do what he wants, and you have Tristan, who is having an amazing year so far as my pick for most improved player. You have a young, hungry team that does still have a lot of talent on it.
And a
I
lot
would
of
not be
picks.
surprised.
And a
Yeah,
lot of picks that you can move to make moves later in the years. I could they pulled a Boston. They literally pulled a Boston where they're gonna have players for years that are going to be guys that people don't like. Again, someone like a Jason Tatum, someone that nobody talks about really from the draft. It's like, I don't know. He don't got star quality written all over him. But then you put him in the right system and give him a year and a half, he ends up being a star caliber player and ends up being an all-star. So I
yep,
think
top 10, he's a top 10 player. I mean,
Houston
the guys that I just left out of my top five are Luka and Jason Tatum.
Houston is in a good position. I get why Brooklyn is doing this. Brooklyn is doing this because they feel as though they have a shot at getting a title this year. But I don't think they do.
The thing that gets me about the Brooklyn Nets franchise since they've been in Brooklyn, I appreciate a franchise that swings for the fences. Being that I'm from Detroit, we're both from Detroit, we see how horrible the Detroit Pistons organization has been ran for the best part of the last decade
I
because
actually
they
like,
never fully commit to a rebuild.
and I will say this, I actually do like the rookie they picked up this year. Killian Hayes has been good. He has an injury right now, but he has been pretty
I
good.
like
I do like his game, his style of play.
So this is the first year that I've gotten the impression that they're going for a legit rebuild. Like, hey, we know we don't have all the pieces to compete right now. We'd rather not try to tinker and try to limp into the eighth seed and get swept again. We have Blake. Nobody really wants him because of his contract. We have Derek, but nobody's going to give us a first round pick for him, and that's what we want. So we might as well do as best we can with them, see if we can find a trade by the trade deadline.
Build a
But if
system up.
not, we'll be okay with that. The fact that Houston now has all these picks, you have talent with John Wall and Victor Oladipo, and now Christian Wood. And let's not forget, they're going to have $40 million more to spend on their salary cap.
And that's not including the fact that you also have the cap that's going to raise pretty much every damn year. So this was
and it's a destination because it's Houston.
Yeah.
And
well, not this year,
but
yeah.
And no luxury tax. Now you have made Houston a destination for somebody, maybe a Blake,
maybe a Giannis.
Maybe Giannis goes to that team with John Wall, which would be the best point guard he would have played with. You have a great third option in Victor Oladipo, or even a great third option in Tristan Wood.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the West where you don't have to worry about KD anymore. LeBron's only got a couple more years left, even though he's operating at a great level. He's got a couple more years left. If you went versus the Lakers, you would be matched up versus AD. I don't know who I'd pick in an AD versus Giannis thing because Giannis,
honestly,
he's got him on defense. He's a better defensive player than AD.
I think if the Lakers win the title this year, LeBron will retire.
I honestly think no matter what, I think he stays at least so he can play a game with his son. I think that is the biggest thing.
That's a good point. He wants
to at least play one game with his son, with him, which honestly, I think that would be really cool. I think that would be one of the best parts of his legacy for him to have stayed healthy this long to do it. I'm going to be honest, and I want to get into it, but I do have a little asterisk over that last championship. They had more months off. That one does have a little asterisk to me. Some people have an asterisk over the Spurs one in '99. Some people have one over the Heat's first one because that was a lockout shortened season. This one does have a little asterisk.
I don't put the asterisk on it I put an asterisk, but I put it in a positive way just because, as Dame Lillard said in a recent interview, playing in the bubble was more difficult than playing normally because the bubble, there was no time to relax. There was literally just go home, sleep, get up, ball.
And from what it's looking like, probably next month they are going to be going back to a bubble because you're getting a lot more. You're getting COVID cases, and you're getting a lot of players. Kyrie Irving now number one that are showing no respect for the COVID protocol.
And see, you know what?
You need to.
That's a big thing right now. We have to talk about that because if they go back into a bubble, if Kyrie doesn't go, can the Nets win the title? And the answer to that is no.
With James and him, I think they can get out the East.
They get out the East, but they're not winning the title.
They get out the East. In a championship without Kyrie, I do think you're lacking because if they presumably go versus the Lakers, you would most likely have Dennis Schroeder versus Kyrie. I'm gonna give Kyrie that matchup.
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's tough.
Kyrie is the X factor because if he's on the team and giving 100%, Kyrie versus Jamal Murray, that's pretty interesting. Kyrie versus Damian Lillard, that's pretty interesting.
No, that's Dame. That's Dame. I like Kyrie's game, but Kyrie does not have.
If Dame can bust Steph Curry's butt, he can damn sure do it.
That's what I'm saying. Dame has. You have to guard me 90 feet type game in a bubble. Kyrie doesn't have that. Kyrie has. I can play you 15 feet away from the rim. I can out dribble you.
I can see that. Seeing what we saw in the Western Conference Finals, Dame can go cold, and when he goes cold, it's hard for him to get hot again. If Kyrie sees him going a little cold, can get him into a little bit of foul trouble, Dame can let his head get into his own head, and he can let that slip. He is the X factor because having Durant and Harden together again, it is dangerous. It's more dangerous than when Westbrook and Harden were together because Kevin Durant is one of the best shooters of all time. He's one of the most efficient scorers in the history of pro basketball. And you have one of the best scorers in James Harden. It is legit pick your poison. And then you throw Kyrie in there. I don't know another three-man team that can match up to them. Having them right now as a team, I do not know if you picked another team, 3 players that were as good as all 3 of them. The Lakers have 2. They have LeBron and AD. Nuggets have Jamal Murray and Joker.
Wait, hold on, whoa. Because the Nuggets do have Jamal Murray, Joker, and what's that kid's name?
The fact that you have to think of that shows that he's not.
Yeah, I know.
Trailblazer. You got Dame and you got McCollum.
And you got Nurkic.
He's good. He's good, but I think I would still take Kyrie over Nurkic.
We haven't even brought up the Clippers whatsoever. Like
no reason to. All hype, all bluster. I was all in. I'm like, okay.
You were?
Legit. Well, in the first year, I'm like, okay, Clippers are actually committing to being a legit team again. They have Kyrie. They have Kawhi. They have Paul George. They have Lou Will. They have Montrezl Harrell. They have a nice, solid team. They got Doc still. Everything's been blown up. The only thing that's really there now is most of the Doc's gone, but the way that their contracts are set up, they can all leave next year. Opt out. Kawhi and Paul George can opt out next year. No, I'm sorry. Paul George, he resigned. But their future is screwed because they gave up
everything
for Paul George.
Everything for 2 dudes. I was never sold on the Clippers because when I looked at the Clippers, I was like, okay.
Now, man, come on. This is just coming off Kawhi having one of the best.
Oh, no. This is my thought. Okay. They put up a good showing up against Golden State. True. You traded away damn near everything to bring in Paul George. Paul George, since Indiana, has been a shell of himself. So you bring him in, and now you're telling me that somehow Paul George and Kawhi, the same Kawhi that, and I hate being this person, only beat Golden State because half the team wasn't there, are somehow going to be...
Who did give up on his team with the Spurs? Let's be real.
Yeah. are going to somehow beat a rejuvenated, pissed off LeBron and an Anthony Davis that is finally happy to be free from New Orleans. Regardless of the roster that the Lakers were going to have, I'm like, okay, they got two generals on their team. I don't see that same thing with the Clippers.
They're too passive aggressive. They're too indecisive. They're too inconsistent.
The issue,
Kawhi wants to go in and play
his game,
half the game, and then if they're losing, come out and take the next night off. I don't respect that. You play the game. There are guys that were made in a lot less than you that played a lot more games in a lot quicker succession than you. You're getting paid all this money. You can play 82 games.
Right.
If you have to play 2 nights back to back, okay, you've been well compensated for it. Your body can take that. All this load, if you still have to do load management this many years in, what are you still doing load management for then? Why are you not resting at this time in your career when you've already had load management going back to when you were in San Antonio when Tim Duncan was still around?
The issue that it makes it worse because you're load managing and your next door neighbor has a player in his 17th year and he's playing out of his bloody mind.
And that to me, as a guy that wanted to come to LA, that is your benchmark. You are always and forever, until you win a championship and until you beat them in a playoff series, little brother when it comes to the Los Angeles Lakers. That should give you enough to want to beat them and to want to be on their level. You are still not on the level. The only thing you guys have done since you've been there in the year, the season, and now a quarter that you've been there is change the jerseys.
Yeah. And everyone's gotten better except for you. Phoenix got better. Denver got better. OKC got better.
Houston got better.
Houston bombed, then got better. Like, eventually Zion's gonna get it right. Like, you're like
they hungry. They hungry.
There's gonna be a point where like
get a pure scorer on that team, somebody that you can give the ball to. That's a
Memphis is gonna be a problem coming soon. Like, it's so
that's my team to watch right there. I'm a big John Morant fan. I love that kid's game. I like Valanciunas. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that team, and I think they're right there. I think ironically, and this is taking it back, I think if you put a Rudy Gay type on that team right now,
yeah, that'd be a nice squad. That
would be a team that you can see getting. If they got into the 4th seed, that would be a little dangerous. They just need that one other guy that you think
Phoenix is gonna be a problem this year. Phoenix is gonna be an issue for somebody. I don't know who, but Phoenix is gonna be a problem.
I've said it. My favorite player in basketball is Stephen Curry. After him, it's Devin Booker. I love Devin Booker's game. To me, I know Kobe, God rest his soul, said the player at the time that he saw the most, that was the most like him, was Kyrie. We now know that was wrong. The player to me that is the most like Kobe is Devin Booker. I see it in his footwork. I see it in his game. I see how he takes it personal. If I have money and I can only see 2 players right now, Steph Curry, Devin Booker, those are the guys that are getting my money. 3rd is Kevin Durant.
So, based on what we talked, because we get back to the roundabout, we'll see what happens with this Brooklyn trade. I am concerned that this is just OKC all over again, and in that, KD got an MVP title. But there was no championship one.
It's funny too, where a guy that's making $40 million a year, who is a top 2 player in the league, just got the best scorer over the last 5 years, in tandem with one of the top 5 players at his position in Kyrie. And I kind of feel sorry for Kevin Durant right now.
Well, here's the thing that I'm concerned with when it comes to that team. Do they not realize that there's only one basketball on that in the game? Like, someone's going to go cold. Now when KD goes cold, he can heat it back up by just doing layups. Kyrie's not a big dude.
Harden doesn't like contact.
Yeah, Harden's out of shape.
That's what makes us mad. If this was Harden from 2 years ago and this happened,
yes, then it'd be an issue. Then it'd be a major issue. But my thought process when it comes to this is who are they going to beat? because their biggest rival right now is going to be two teams, and it's in their division. It's going to be Philly and it's going to be Boston. Boston has a legitimate squad. Boston, from Boston's style of play, I can name everyone to go up against everyone. I can put Tatum up against KD. I can put Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart against Harden. And for Kyrie's little ass, cardiac Kemba. Everyone smooth forget Kemba is a killer. So if you,
I think that knee problem of his is the one thing that's really hindering him right now, because I think it's worse than what.
But when he's in his flow state, he is damn near unguardable. So if you think about it from that standpoint, if they go a 7-game,
Kyrie to me was a secondary Kemba. Everything I saw out of Kyrie, I seen from Kemba first, and I like the way Kemba carried himself more. Like Kemba is a professional basketball player.
And then Kyrie. You also have the team that nobody seems to talk about, but they were in the finals last year, Miami. Miami is just chilling along.
And I think that's the way they like it. That's what they like.
And they have arguably the deepest bench and arguably the scariest starting five ever. There's no way in the hell it should make sense to have none. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Michigan alum, and then you have Jimmy Butler there, who can guard all 5 positions.
Up until they got into the playoffs, when they really started to creep up, right before the season went on lockdown, I was one of those people where I didn't eat my words when it came to Jimmy Butler, because I said for a while, I'm like, you keep howling at the moon that you want to be the guy, you want to have this type of dedication. They don't do this. You had a situation in Minnesota where honestly you could have gotten a lot of traction out of that young team when you had Wiggins and you got Cat. That was a nice team they had, and they added you. You blustered, got your way out of there. You went to an even better, almost similar to Kyrie. You went to an even better situation in Philly. That was your beeline to the NBA Finals right there.
Yeah.
You ain't like it because you weren't the guy there, because they were all talking about Ben Simmons or they're talking about Embiid. Then you get all the way to Miami, where everybody's like, Miami? Really? Pat Riley really must have some Jedi mind tricks, but okay. And then you guys make it to the NBA Finals, and the effort I saw out of Jimmy, I was a fan, but he got my respect. Like, that was one of the best performances. That is who Kawhi Leonard should have been. That is leading by example.
And then you got to think about it from this standpoint. If you play Brooklyn versus Miami, KD has to go up against both Bam and Jimmy Butler for 7 games straight. That is going to be murder for him. Like having to find a way.
Think about Jimmy on James.
Oh my God.
And James having to guard Jimmy. All you got to do is drive it in and get contact. And then with Harden being out of shape as he is right now, because that's the thing, it's January now. Harden's not going to be in shape for another 6 weeks at least.
And they got a week off. And they got a week off for the All-Star. That's not going to happen.
And that's if he puts in 100% full effort, goes to a diet immediately, goes back to his training regimen with all the regular COVID stuff we have, because now you're going from Houston, where you've been for 8 years. Now you're going over to New York, and New York is the hot spot of the United States of America when it comes to COVID. So he's got his work cut out for him if he wants to prove people wrong, because if they actually succeed, that to me will be the surprise. If they make it to the second round, I will be surprised. The way this team is,
it's Tyler Bust.
Presently,
it's Tyler Bust.
The way this team is, I would not be surprised if they went out in the first round to Boston or to Miami.
They gave up a young nucleus for one dude. It's Tyler Bust. It's Tyler Bust. They can. If you told me they lost in a gentleman's sweep against the Lakers in the finals, I'm like, okay, that was a successful season. If they lose I'm sorry. With the offensive firepower they have, regardless of Harden being overweight or whatever, with the offensive firepower they have, they should average 120 a night. With that being said,
with Steve Nash as your coach.
Right.
So the man knows how to move a ball. He knows
that
offense.
Being said, if all three of them are there, and whatever the hell else of the team they have up there, which I don't think it's even much of a team because you got rid of your two bigger pieces with getting rid of LeVert and getting rid of Allen. With that being said, they should not drop one game in the first, second, or conference finals. I don't want to hear a game was dropped. I don't care who it's against. You have two guys that are multiple time MVPs. You have a finals MVP. You have a guy that hit arguably one of the greatest go home shots in NBA finals history. You have a coach that has been a multiple time MVP and helped develop a running gun system that no one has ever been able to duplicate. And three dudes arguably in their prime. There's no way you should lose this. And trust me, as big of a LeBron fan as I am, if somehow if him and AD beat these three dudes in a gentleman's or a 7-game series, the amount of shit I am going to talk about every KD fan, every James Harden fan, y'all gonna be sick of me. Y'all don't think I'm Jalen Rose because y'all gonna be sick of me.
I can only wait for when that happens. But thank you for talking with me about this. This was something. It made my day a lot more interesting because the beginning of the day you're just hearing stuff about Kyrie being Kyrie.
We literally were talking about Kyrie, and then the news came down. They're like, oh, like
I almost dropped my phone.
Oh, here you go.
But Jay Tezla, let everybody know where they can find you at.
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok at Jay Tezla, JayTezla. You also find me at sportsbyjtezla.wordpress.com and jtezla.nerdvana.wordpress.com as well. Also on as a co-host of What Kind of Black Nerdcast Is This with this guy, Mark, aka Zero. He's probably getting some water somewhere, and La and Lou. And you can check out their podcast, a couple La and Lou, on YouTube as well. It should be down here in the description below somewhere.
Thank you for joining me. I've been Kayos. You all have been awesome. And leave a comment. Let us know, where do you think the Houston Rockets will end up with this season? Where do you think Brooklyn will end up this season? And do you actually think that this was a good trade? Let me know. And as always, you can find me on almost all social media at Team Kayos. That's Instagram, Twitter. Find me on Facebook, Kyle J. Campbell, and I'm one of your admins on the What Kind of Black Nerdcast Is This page. You can find me on TikTok, same name, and you can find me on WordPress.com. I'm going to start having some articles coming soon. Thank you all for joining us. Nerd responsible.